Self-sufficiency is the art of seeing everything around you as a resource. Quickly, you will discover that growing your own food doesn't just bring this flavor and delicious nutrition like you've never experienced before, but it also evokes something deeper. This sense of purpose from seeing your meal grow in front of your very own eyes. With simple inputs of your hands, the soils, and the seasons, suddenly anything is possible.
I was in Indonesia last week and I was just so inspired by all of the delicious food. So I've come home and I really want to recreate it. So starting off with banana leaves for wrapping all of the ingredients in, I'm harvesting all of the stuff that we have that can be good Indonesian food.
We had some really big winds last week, so there aren't many leaves that haven't been shredded. And because it's the dry season, everything grows so much slower while it's cold. In the summer, we'd have new banana leaves growing almost faster than you could count them. But at this time of year, everything slows down. But this is also the season that so much of our abundant fruit and vegetables are ready for harvest. We have so much turmeric at this time of year that we don't know what to do with it all. So many of our tropical and subtropical foods grow over the wet season and take in all of the nutrients from the heavy rains and hot suns, and then by the time that winter comes, they all come into fruition. It's beautiful to think of the many months that this food has taken to slowly grow and now be picked and cooked and appreciated.
Clover loves lemongrass. It's his favorite snack. I find him out here every morning just eating a little bit of it. It's yummy, isn't it? I love it.
There are so many ingredients in Indonesian recipes that I feel like I would normally take a bit for granted, not really appreciating the depth of their flavor. Like lime leaves, I normally only eat the fruit of the tree, but in so many Indonesian recipes, lime leaves are included too. It's a reminder again that everything has a purpose. In this modern world, we often only eat the very best fruit, harvested from a crop that has been manipulated to only grow perfect, well-shaped food. Globally, 1/3 of food is discarded because of aesthetic imperfections. In Queensland and Australia, it's estimated that 86% of edible tomatoes were rejected and wasted based on appearance. And the irony of this is that we're missing out on the flavors. Food is grown so that it looks good now, not for its flavor or individual quirks. An estimated 75% of crop diversity has been lost since the early 1900s. Can you imagine all of the flavors that just don't exist anymore because instead we favored a tomato or a banana that's shaped like every other tomato or banana? Macadamias are grown in huge numbers globally, mostly in South Africa and Hawaii. But most of the global macadamia crop originates from a small number of trees, and those trees are native to this very area. Because most macadamias grown worldwide are probably grafts from a single tree, they're basically clones, and the genetic diversity is terrible, so they're at threat of diseases.
The leaves of the kaffir lime are the last ingredient that I need to harvest, I think. And then it's time to cook.
We're so privileged in our self-sufficiency journey to have all of this work from our parents and grandparents having the same vision, to create a life with the land, grounded in sustainability and growing. So many of the fruit trees and crops were established by them, and we're so lucky to have this basis to build on. But for anyone that's just starting out, I think that cooking is the simplest and most profound way to connect with yourself and the land. Feeling the freshness of a vegetable as you snap it, smelling the fragrance of lemongrass and sweet carambolas, or simply just appreciating the flavors of food and the nourishment that it gives your body. It's the connection between the earth and yourself, and a reminder that we're also nurtured by the soils and sun and seasons. My very last ingredient are tiny pieces of bamboo used to tie the banana leaves.
I've lost the macadamia cracker, I don't know where it is, so this will have to do. The wood is not good. Oh.
This recipe is actually supposed to have candle nuts, but they aren't in season, so I'm replacing them with macadamias instead. Even though candle nuts are native to some parts of Australia, they're actually an invasive weed in this area, so we've been cutting most of the trees down. Lemon myrtle is a native shrub that has this beautiful lemony flavour and can make delicious tea. part of living self-sustainably is being self-reliant in as many ways as possible. So in terms of food, creativity, and of course in terms of power.
Around our art studio, we used to just have a very unreliable power cord, but now with the Jackery Explorer 2000 Plus, we're able to power everything and anything with ease, and we're able to be completely off the grid and rely on no one but ourselves and the sun. It is a high-capacity, expandable, portable power station designed for heavy-duty use at home and outdoors. The Jackery is easy to move, it's equipped with dual wheels and a pull handle for convenient mobility around the house or the campsite if you're camping. We can wheel it around our art studio and power whatever device needs electricity, whether that's our sewing machines or food processor or our lamp. It has a durable, long-life LiFePO 4 battery with over 4,000 charge cycles, retaining 70% plus capacity, so it's built to last for 10 years of everyday use. And it has a massive 3,000 watt output for high wattage devices, which means that it can easily power devices like air conditioners, induction cooktops, and power tools with a 3,000 watt pure sine wave output and 6,000 watt surge. You should definitely check out Jackery's website. Right now they have their biggest promotional offers of the year, and thanks again Jackery for sponsoring this video and supporting our journey.
The cool thing about lemon myrtle is that it grows all year round, so in summer when we have no citrus we can still have lemon tea. It can also be used in cooking and its flavour is so unique. But right now, citrus is abundant. The food forest is full of fruit and we have more lemons than we know what to do with, so we have a delicious tea that has both in it. You want some leftovers? Our grandfather actually grew up in Indonesia, and when he moved to Australia, he wanted to replicate the beauty of the Indonesian jungle. He tried to grow every fruit that he loved in his childhood in Indonesia. Some didn't work in our subtropical climate, like durian, rambutan, or mangosteen. But so many did, like jambu air, jackfruit, kedongdong, papaya, mango, and so many bananas. It isn't tropical enough here to grow coconut, so I'm using a can of coconut milk. But almost everything else in this meal is grown from the farm. Now comes the complex part, wrapping up the mixture in banana leaves. I'm making tiny skewers from bamboo that can thread through the leaf and secure it. Then I'm folding the leaf carefully, putting the mixture inside before I close it. I'm not very skilled at this and my packages are quite weird shapes, but I think I'll get better over time. It's a beautiful process and I love finding ways to use things that you normally wouldn't use. Normally these banana leaves would go to waste, but instead they're the perfect natural wrapping. Next I'm making rice with the leftover coconut milk and turmeric. Rice is another thing that we don't grow here, but seeing the beauty of the rice fields in Indonesia, I would love to grow it here too, and it must be possible in this climate. The next dish is tempeh, which is always my favourite. Tempeh originates from Indonesia and there's records of it as far back as the 16th century. It's believed to be discovered accidentally from fermented soybeans that produced a specific fungus when wrapped in a particular leaf. Soybeans are another crop that we would love to try to grow, with so many uses. While the tum ayam steams, I'm finishing off everything else. The last touch is of course a sambal, an Indonesian spicy sauce that accompanies most meals. I'm making it from starfruit, which are also known as carambola or in Indonesian, belimbing. Of course, with a few very spicy chilies and some spring onions too. Then everything is done. Nasi kuning, tempeh ketchup, tum ayam, and belimbing sambal. When I was in Bali, I was taught how to make a batik by a man in his beautiful courtyard. Batik is an ancient textile art that has these intricate patterns created by applying wax to fabric that will resist dyes. So after many layers of dye and wax, you can create the most beautiful patterns. It dates back centuries, and this is an art that I've always wanted to learn more about. There are these boiling pots of wax and then a tool called a chanting that holds the wax and only lets a small stream flow out. It's harder than you'd think to not let wax drip everywhere and ruin everything. The next step is painting with dye. Where the wax is, the dyes will not take. It's fun to make gradients with the colours that shift across the fabric. Although the colours will change once the fabric is washed in, and I was expecting these colours to stay pretty similar, but then they actually changed a lot. Batik designs often have symbolism related to nature, spirituality, or stories. I've designed mine into these little squares because I want to make a dress out of it when I get home. So I've carefully measured everything, hopefully close enough to create something special at home. Then it's finally time to wash the batik in. This sets the dyes and it also takes the wax off to reveal the plain white fabric underneath. I would love to create more of these in the future and to keep practicing my skills.
So I made this batik fabric when I was in Indonesia and I love it so much, and I'm going to sew a dress from it today. So when I was making it, the whole plan the whole time was to make this dress, but I didn't plan it that much before I was doing it, so hopefully the pattern works out. I did the maths very quickly in an Indonesian courtyard, and so that hopefully these squares are the right size, and then I can make this dress that's kind of all of these squares patchwork together, which is something I've been wanting to make for a long time because I really like it in terms of patchwork and making patchwork clothing, so I thought it was really cool to try it out with a batik. So my random plan that I came up with as I was making it was to make this bias cut dress because the fabric's this really nice lightweight cotton, so I thought that would be really nice on the body. And then while I was away, Julia got me this dress from a garage sale, which I love and it fits me really well, and it's a bias cut cotton slip. So I'm going to use it as a bit of a basis for a pattern, and then I'm going to make this fit kind of similarly, like that, if that makes sense. So right now what I'm trying to do is trying to work out where the design lines of the dress will go, and arguably this might be the most important part of designing a dress or even making a dress, is just working out perfectly where everything's gonna go. So I use like shoelaces and old ribbons to just kind of decide visually what looks best, but also it's really important to kind of hit all of these important parts on the body. So that is the bust area so that you can make it contour. So it's not as important because it's bias cut, so the fabric will contour itself, but I'm going to add some gather here, as you can kind of see the dress is wanting to do. Beforehand, this dress had a dart, but I'm going to eliminate that dart and use gather instead. And then the other points that I want to hit is going underneath the bust, and then I really want to hit this kind of spot on the thigh, which is like at the very top of the thigh, so that maybe there can be a split of the dress that goes off there, and I think visually that's just gonna look really nice. So I'm using that as a basis to kind of make these square shapes, which will be the fabric that I'm able to cut and patchwork together. So that's the plan here. Now I just have to do it. So I'm ready to make the real thing now, and instead of making a pattern this time, I've decided to just, all of the pieces are pretty simple, so I've taken their measurements and I'm not going to trace them off and put them into pattern pieces. Instead, I'm going to make one pattern piece of the bust because that's quite a complex one and I want to get that curve right. And apart from that, I think I just cut them out.
Anastasia brought this home for me from Indonesia, and it's all these old vintage batiks patchwork together, and it's so beautiful to see all the different ways the patterns are made, and you can see, kind of understand how Anastasia's is done now. You can see where the little wax strips must have been. It's so intricate.
I definitely have a long way to go before my batiks look like the real thing, but it's an amazing art that I'm so interested to learn more about.
This is the one pattern piece that I'm going to use. Oh, there's two pattern pieces actually. There's two pattern pieces in the whole dress. There's the bust piece, and then this is a square, but it's on one side it's a little bit shorter, so it's only 14 centimeters on this side and then 16 on this side. So then I can use that to kind of curve around the body and contour. So on the smaller side it'll go in, and then on the bigger side it'll go out, if that makes sense. So towards the waist have the smaller ones, and then everywhere else have the big one.
At this stage of the design process, I always find myself lost in the maths, making sure that everything will line up perfectly.
I haven't painted anything in a really long time because I've been too unwell to, but I'm down here in the studio and I thought if I just clean my palette off, then next time maybe it'll be a bit easier and I might have the energy for it. It'd be so nice. I miss painting so much. Hi, my big girl. I love you so much, my big.
I'm now ready to cut all of the pieces out. I get really stressed by this, making sure that I don't make any mistakes. I only have really limited fabric, so one snip in the wrong place and the whole dress could be ruined. But I think that I've measured it well and I think everything will line up. I always get stressed at the cutting stage because all fabric is precious, but this is hand painted and I'll never be able to recreate it, so it's extra stressful making sure that I don't make any mistakes. Now I have all of the pattern pieces cut out. I'm so excited about this dress design using only tiny squares of fabric because I can use this again with lots of scraps of fabric to create dresses that have zero waste.
I've got everything cut out now and now it's just time to sew it together and hopefully it works. This is always the most stressful stage of sewing something because there's no going back now. I've definitely cut these into the shape that they are. It's all coming together so quickly. Now I just have to sew these strips to the other strips and then the whole top will be done and then I have to drape the skirt. I've almost finished the top. It just has a few little touches like straps and things like that that I need to do. And now I'm just gonna drape the skirt. I'm excited. So this is option one, doing kind of like a draped skirt that has a bit more flow to it. Or option two is doing more of a straight A-line skirt. I can't decide. So I'm gonna risk it and I'm going to do this skirt. I'm just going to kind of pin this into place and then use it as a pattern template because I really like the way that this panel is falling. And then I'll just make 4 of them. Hopefully I have enough fabric. I just got this fabric from the op shop the other day because I thought the color would match really nicely with this color. And it did, but I hope there's enough because it's just scrap. Okay, I've adjusted it a million times and I think that I'm happy with it, but I'm feeling really stressed. It was a big decision, but I like the way that the scallop of the skirt goes down with the thigh. I think that's really nice. For any sort of draping, you're gonna want a blunt pencil because it's not pointy like a mechanical pencil, so you're not gonna point through the fabric, you're not gonna break the lead of the pencil. You're gonna be able to kind of softly catch all of the curves as you draw on the fabric while you're draping it and it'll wash out. I'm really happy with it, so now I'm going to cut 3 more, the same for here, here and here. I made a mistake. I'm really mad at myself. This is why you always have to measure twice, cut once. But with sewing it's more like think 1,000 times, measure 1,000 times and then cut once, because I just didn't think about it, but this fabric has a natural edge to it, which I could use as the hem. And then I wouldn't have to hem it, and then, because hemming this kind of silky cotton, I'm actually not sure what it is, I got it from an op shop, is gonna be hard and it's gonna be a bit ugly, and I really like the way it flows without a hem. But I could not hem it, but I didn't think about it and I cut it the wrong way. I cut it so that it's got a bad hem. But I only have a really limited amount of fabric from the op shop, and I would have had the perfect amount if I hadn't have cut that the wrong way. But maybe still I can work out a way that I can perfectly cut from scraps everything that I need on the right. I am so lucky, literally to the millimeter, this lines up so that I've just got enough fabric to the mill. And one problem is that there's this weird mistake in the fabric, but that's exactly where I'm gonna put the zipper or some sort of buttons or something, so it's okay. Shockingly, it's like this fabric was made for this dress, even with my mistake. I'm so close now. I just have a couple of seams, a few straps, some buttons maybe, or a zip, and then I'm done. I'm pretty happy with the dress. There's a few things that I don't like about it that I'll fix on the next time I make it, but I really like how the batik is all patched in, and I'm really inspired to use this as a pattern for lots of dresses. Hey, Mr. Clover! Hi!